All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking some time out of your evening to come to this brief info session. Hope your summer is going well. Um, can you guys hear me? I never know with Zoom. Uh, okay, great. Um, so today the plan is just I have a few brief slides to go over, just giving the basics of. And of course, afterwards, if you have any other questions, just feel free to message either myself or Annalisa or Hallie on the Discord, and we'll get back to you. Um, you know, have you ever been unsure of what courses to take? I know when I was in first year, I spent a long time trying to figure out whether I should take 157 or 137 for my first year calculus. I wasn't sure if I should take linear algebra, what kind of electives to take. Or maybe, maybe one time you just joined a club or joined some activity just on a whim or just by chance, and then you found out this was actually something you really enjoyed and you wished you had tried earlier. Or maybe you realized too late that there was something that you would have really wanted to do, but you just never heard about it before the deadline. Or, I'm sure we've all been in this situation where we are trying to answer a question and our first guess is, let's go on the U of T Reddit. We find a post from 10 years ago and we just try to go through all the comments to find any helpful information. So if you've been in any of these situations, you probably have realized that it's really helpful, especially in a big school like U of T, to have someone you can ask who knows the system well and who can point you in the right direction. Maybe you have had someone you've asked and you've been really grateful for it, or you wish you had someone. But either way, it's really important that we have these kinds of resources available to us. And so our goal this year is we're trying to start this mentorship program to formalize that system of kind of this knowledge of the crowds passed on from upper years to younger years. So our goal is to provide incoming first years with some kind of personalized support coming from someone, i.e. you, who's familiar with the university and its offerings. So our plan is that as a mentor, you'd be paired with 1 to 4 students for the whole school year. You'd get to indicate how many you'd want to be with, and then you'd meet with them regularly to provide some kind of academic advice, help them with any kind of internship or research applications they're trying to complete, and just in general, point them to things that they might find helpful or interesting or just fun at U of T. So just as a rough idea of what time commitment would look like, we're going to ask that people meet with their mentees once per month, at least, and we're hoping that you'll meet with them at least 2 times per month. But, one very important thing I want to point out is that we're not asking you guys to be personal tutors. This isn't do a first year's homework for them. It's okay, and it's understood that you probably want to give some help with course content here and there, but that's not the primary focus of this program. The primary focus is to really help first years get a good grounding and help them really navigate the university system when I think it's the hardest when you're first starting the school. So what are we going to do to help you? Well, throughout the year, we're going to try to support mentors just by having some kinds of social events and academic events for both mentors and mentees. And in addition, some of these will be exec-led, but some of these will also try to have you guys do on your own. So one of our plans is we're basically making a big sheet of all these things, of all these kinds of things you could do like in the city. And we're going to encourage you guys to either point your mentee towards them, or even better, try to do it with them. And also we're going to try to provide some resources and newsletters throughout the year. So highlighting important academic deadlines, any kind of interesting talks or events that are happening around the department and things like that. And so mentors will be able to share these with mentees and add in their own information that they think the mentees will find helpful. And then in general, we'll be available to help mentors. We'll be able to meet with you guys one-on-one if you have any questions or you're trying to figure out how to best help your mentee, but you aren't exactly sure how. But you might be asking, would I be a good mentor? And I think if you're in this call, the answer probably is yes, because we think essentially anyone who's interested in giving back to the community and helping younger students grow really would be a great mentor. in particular, we're not looking for anyone to be in a particular program, so you don't have to be a physics spec to do this, or you don't have to be planning to go to grad school, then academia, or that kind of track. We're really open to anyone who just has a genuine desire to help others. So we really want people with a variety of interests and career plans, and as well as just personal hobbies, because we really want to be able to pair mentors and mentees based on these shared interests. And so we don't want to limit it just to one kind of person. And so, like I said, we're going to be pairing people just based on shared goals, shared interests. That's why we're asking in the form if you have like what just academic interests, career interests, and what you like to do for fun. And although, so right now, our one thing is we are requiring mentors to have a 3.0 GPA in your major for the most recent semester. So for physics courses, this would be the GPA, or for physics, if you're a physics student, this would be your GPA in your physics courses. But really, this isn't meant to be like something that gatekeeps people from applying. So, if that prevents you from applying, and you still want to do it, just please reach out to us, and we're happy to talk. And very likely we'll be just fine with you applying. So just to get a rough idea of a timeline. So right now we're in July. So from July to September, we're going to have these mentor applications open. And although we have it open until September 12th, that's really so that anyone who just doesn't hear about this until the school year still has a chance to sign up. We really, so the form is available on our website, on our Instagram, on our Discord. It's just a Google form. And so we are asking that if you can, please try to complete this by July 21st, because we are going to be doing pairing mentors on a rolling basis so that you get earlier priority. And it also is important because it helps us gauge how many mentors we're going to actually have, and therefore how many first years we can actually take. And I would emphasize, it's a call to an application, but really don't stress about this. This isn't supposed to be competitive. We're not going to be we're not limiting. We don't have a cutoff or like a quota we're trying to fill. Really, we just want to have a little preliminary screening just to make sure you're committed to kind of helping someone for a full year, because that commitment it's a lot if you really want to do it for the full year. But yeah, don't stress about the application. It's not supposed to be hard or anything. So from July 21st to December 12th, we're going to have just some semi-informal interviews with the applicants. Again, this is nothing to stress about, nothing to worry about. We just want to meet you and just kind of make sure we know you, who you are, and then just maybe ask a question or two. But this is, I think this shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be anything stressful. It'll be 10-15 minutes at most. So then August 25th is when first year orientation starts, and that's when we're going to really start pairing applicants and mentees. And along with that, so August 26th and September 4th are going to be 2 nights where we just have a chance for mentees and mentors to get to meet each other. So the idea will be, it's just a casual social event, board games, light snacks, things like that, where you can meet potential first year students. And then if you really get along with someone really well, then you could ask that you could be paired together, and we'll make sure you're paired together. But these events aren't mandatory, though we encourage you to attend. Even if you don't go, it's fine. We'll just pair you on our own. And then, of course, from September to April is the actual mentorship program. So I think that's it. And just one thing I want to note is that mentors, we do hope you can provide some guidance during midterms exams, especially that first midterm season, that first exam season, because it can be kind of stressful and scary the first time. You have all these really important tests coming up. So just note that please be prepared to make a little bit of time for your mentee during that season, just whether it's just kind of giving them just some general advice or whatever it may be. So please don't go AWOL at the end of November, right before exam season. But I think that's really it for what I wanted to say. So I guess I'll open the floor to questions now. And this is just, if you want to reach out to us, we have our website and our Instagram and our Discord, all of which you can find the application link, or you can just ask those questions in there as well. But yeah, I think now, please feel free to either ask a question in the chat or just unmute and ask. And Annalisa, Hallie, and I will try to answer. Oh yeah, you can totally upload a resume instead of a CV. Um, I use the word CV, not intending to distinguish between resumes and CV. No worries. Yeah, this is our first year. So we're hoping to make it really successful. And but that also means that we're kind of figuring this out as we go too. So if you guys have any recommendations on how we can improve it, please just message us, and we give because at the end of the day, this is about mentors and mentees. So if you find that there's something that works really well for you and that you want us to know about, or you think that we could change to make it more effective, then we're all ears.
Also, one thing I'd like to note is please, like we're stressing, uh sorry, we'd like to stress, please ask your friends if you think that they would be interested because we're really, really trying to broaden our reach with this. So, I mean, we have our typical audience of the Discord server, the Instagram account, but then also we're trying to reach new people who maybe aren't as active in the PhySU community. So, um, if you know anybody, then please encourage them to apply.
Yeah, and that also really goes back to our earlier point that we really want to get a breadth of experiences and a breadth of backgrounds here. So, maybe you have a friend who's like studying, I don't know, like bioinformatics or some kind of like still STEM focused, but not quite the usual maybe physics person. I think that's still really valuable, especially in first year when people are kind of still trying to kind of figure out what path they want to go down. They might have a lot of broad interests. So really, we really encourage that anyone who's kind of in physical science or math or these related fields, if you're interested, please apply. And if you have friends who you think would be really good mentors, please ask them.
Well, I think one of the motivations behind pairing people up directly is just trying to, one, make things seem like it's a little bit of a smaller community because U of T is such a big school, and especially in first year, it can be kind of overwhelming when you're coming into this new environment. Your class sizes are huge, the university is huge, and so it can be really hard to feel like you belong in a community and you can make tight, close connections. So by pairing people directly with one person, we're hoping to, help eliminate a little bit of that feeling of just being one person in such a huge crowd. And then another thing is just so that it can have a little bit more focused advice. And so that you can, again, meet with someone and discuss things that are a little bit more directly applicable to you. And you're just getting to know your mentor throughout the entire year. And so instead of sort of having to find one or two people in the lounge every once in a while, you have one person who you know you can contact, who you know you can go to whenever you have any concerns. And then just another addition to that is we really only have maybe 15 students at most from first year that start becoming regulars in the lounge. And we're hoping with this program to expand to the rest of the incoming first year class because we really want to be reaching a wide audience of both students that are coming into first year and also mentors. right? Because there are so many really cool people that don't spend a lot of time in PhySU. And so we're hoping to find a way to connect them with incoming first years who might also not want to spend as much time in the lounge. So, yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is that one of the hopes too is that whether or not like your first year and you end up becoming a big part of like the PhySU crowd or a different circle, part of the hope is that you aren't just restricted to your mentor. And eventually, that having a connection with someone you know and you can trust, that will ease you into maybe a wider circle. So if you say if you are doing a mentorship and you are a big part of the PhySU crowd, then maybe that makes it easier for that first year to kind of um, become part of the PhySU group instead of maybe feeling intimidated because there's all these older people who they don't know who all kind of seem to know each other, and and that can be a little bit off-putting, I think, to a first year. Um, yeah. Oh yeah. So how many first years usually apply? Well, as we said earlier, it's our first year doing it, so we don't know. But going off the orientation numbers, typically we have around 100 people at orientation, so we would anticipate something similar for the mentorship program. And I mean, that's about a quarter of the incoming class, at least who takes Physics 151, because that class is about 400 people. So, and that actually is another reason we are trying to reach a pretty broad audience because 100 people is a lot. And so right now our plan probably is you be paired with probably two people, and that way if one of the mentees kind of stops attending, you still have one person you can work with. So then ideally we would be trying to get around 50 mentors, which is a pretty big number. So that's why we are asking people really do try to reach out to others who they think would be well suited for this program.
Also, that's why we left the option for a group of 3 or 4 people, because if you feel so like there are a couple of things. Firstly, it it would be really convenient if we didn't need to suddenly find so many people. But then also, if you as a mentor are intimidated by the idea of like a one-on-one thing that feels a little too like personal or like too, I don't want to say too big of a commitment, but a lot of pressure, then having a group of 3 or 4 people where they can just check in might be better for you. So there are a couple of reasons why we had that option.
And another thought behind having a group of between like 2 and 4 students is that we're hoping we can also use the mentorship program as a way for students to get to know each other. So if in addition to getting a mentor, they could also make a couple of friends along the way, we think that would be really cool and it would help again make it seem like there is more of a sense of community, which we think is really important.
Okay, I think unless anyone has any more questions, it's probably a good place to stop. Oh, I see something in the chat. Oh, okay. I sense a question approaching. Yeah. So it's a good question. Um, our plan primarily is that, once we do this initial pairing, um, mentors and mentees will kind of communicate on their own, with kind of minimal uh, regulation or influence from us. Um, I do agree that at some level, there is a risk that, um, you know, having this thing that's kind of geared as a mentorship program might scare off people who really don't, or maybe who don't feel like they're the right kind of fit for it, or or feel like maybe they wouldn't find a good match. Which I guess that is part of the reason we're really trying to reach a broad audience with this, like on the mentor side. And hopefully one of our plans is to try to mitigate the risk of that just during how we're advertising. Sorry, hopefully one of our plans is try to mitigate that kind of bias is, when we're advertising this at the start of the year. So one of our hopes is to go into the first year classes like we usually do, and as part of our big slideshow of what's PhySU about, we really could highlight this mentorship program. And we're going to really try to say it's not just for people who want to go to grad school, people who want to go down the traditional academic route. It really is for anyone who just is first year and kind of wants a little bit of help, or a little bit, or just someone they can reach out to in order to find their way around the university. No, it's not only for 151, it's also for 131. I mean, I suspect that just because, like, in the nature of it being a physics oriented thing, or rather it's being done by the physics union, we might get a lot of 151 people, but um, we are hoping we'll also get people from 131. So even if you aren't going to go into physics, maybe you're in life science or you're in chemistry or some other program that takes first year physics, yeah, they're also welcome to be part of this too. Um, of course, the challenge then becomes how do we adequately serve those people? I think on one hand, that isn't actually that difficult, because I think at some level, first year is similar enough for most of the science programs that it doesn't, like, you don't have to be in the exact same specialist to as someone else to know kind of what your first years are probably still pretty similar. So the hope is that even if we get someone who's not just doing physics spec, um, we can still find them someone who would have kind of similar goals or experiences, and we can really serve them well with this program. Oh, yes. Oops. This is too altruistic of us. I see. My bad. Uh, right. I also can't solve kinematic problems. That's okay. Um, well, I guess that's one of the reasons we're hoping it's not going to be a purely just like academic tutorial program. Like the hope is if someone asks you, how do I solve this kinematics problem? Well, okay, maybe you don't tell them you don't know. You tell them, hey, here's a great resource that is really useful for learning kinematics. And then you can help them find that resource and they can use that resource. Because that's also kind of part of our goal of this program really is to establish like long-term like habits and long-term like things that set you up for long-term success in the university. So the hope is that um, academic wise, like a mentor would serve to point the student towards like really helpful resources and things like that, and not just answer all the questions themselves. Because that way the student can use that resource even when the mentor isn't available, and so on. So yeah, hopefully you have a good reference on how to solve kinematic problems. Okay. Well, I think in that case, unless anyone has any more questions, this is your last call to stop me. I think in that case, I'm gonna wrap this up and say thank you guys for coming, and thank you for your interest in the program. I hope you will sign up, and I hope you will bug all your friends to sign up as well. So like I said earlier, the form can be found on our website, on our Instagram, on our Discord. Just a brief Google form. And I hope to see all your names on there soon. So yeah, thanks. And have a nice night.